And welcome back. We're picking where we left off last time in Factorio, where in theory we're now roughly ready to start contemplating doing some science. Mainly also bringing in calcite. So I don't think that's where we want the landing site to be. I'm not sure if we're allowed to have more than one per planet. I'm going to immediately assume, with no evidence, that the answer to can we have more than one per planet is going to be no. And then we're going to start working around that. So if we can't have more than one planet per planet, the thing we need to do is we need to probably, first of all, move it to a different spot. So we're going to pick it up and move it. Because we're going to want space around it to bring stuff down. Makes a landing spot for all items ejected from space platforms. Makes logistic requests for items from orbiting platforms, yes. So what we want to do is we want to start setting up foundries so that we can melt things like copper and iron using the molten recipe, and then cast the plates, the bars, the wires, whatever from them more efficiently. So I'm thinking over here is probably a good place. We've got a nice open space around which we can set up our landing facility. And this will be fairly close to the science, where we're going to have to ship all the space science and all the delivery stuff otherwise. So we'll go with something like that. To some degree, we're going to have to rely a little bit on bots to do our deliveries for us. Because I haven't gone in and picked anything up on the planet yet. Okay, so let's start with something like that. Calcite-wise, we can go full. We'll consider for the unloading, I suppose. And if we did get better power poles, we could potentially do the little bits as well for unloading size. So, top and bottom, we're going to have these be calcite unload sites. Calcite is which one? There it is on the table. Memory serves, was it 3? Of the green? Might have been 3 of the blue. Anyway, we're going to assume that that's basically a red belt. Yeah, we're going to assume that combined that makes all like red belt worth of unload. It'll upgrade to more later, but for the moment, red belt will work. And that becomes the red and the red. We're going to have stuff coming off the sides as well, presumably. Oh, let's actually assume something like so. So that's 2 types of unloaded science. And the other type of unloaded science. The 2 types of unloaded science. We'll do one up there, one up there. I'm not gonna worry immediately what those are gonna load like. Okay, so we're gonna have a whole red belt of calcite, which is hopefully really overkill, because otherwise we're gonna have other problems. And then you need to request Oh, I suppose while we're thinking about the science, let's get the inserters down for supporting that science as well. And then we do that side, and that side. And then you get to be space science. That wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted you to be space science. Click, left click, there we go. Then metallurgical plants. Okay, so we bring those in. Electromagnetic. We're probably not going to ship in any agricultural banks, but just in case, we'll prep the thing to handle them. Okay. So now we can set this up and say, hey, feel free to accept space and calcite. I suppose on the space, let it be any quality. Request can't be used. Okay, so fine, we'll accept the link. And obviously set some to it. Okay. So then, thinking about the platform, because we need the platform to be able to do the mining, to bring in the calcite. This is, of course, going to make a bunch of trash. There's our power looking at 2.2 megawatts of generation, and we're not consuming that much yet. Okay. We're going to basically, for the moment, we're going to copy that bit. Goes out to about there. So we want you about there. So. Okay, don't overlap. Not that it would necessarily be the end of the world if they overlapped, but we can simplify the process a little bit by making sure they don't. This might actually go in and around. And then we want a bunch of crushers. Okay, not sure if that's even going to be enough to supply that amount. Actually, I suppose we did from the math earlier that there should have to be a red belt coming in. Let's prepare for it to be a red belt. Okay, and we want to put something in to turn it on or off. No, we'll just kick ourselves if the thing gets full. Because it'll probably get full. Let's be fair. Okay, now we're basically waiting for launch capacity to get up here and build it. And then we're going to divert you out. Oh, actually, that red bit wants to be one build out. Like so. Then these want to be the advanced one that makes calcite. I don't need ice on Navius, so all the ice is going to go overboard, and all the calcite's going to get shipped to be dropped. And then you don't want to be that, you want to be the calcite. Okay, then technically we don't need this stuff up here for the moment. Let's just disconstruct that portion to save a little bit of material. Get that portion of the building. And then for the moment we technically don't need that portion either, so disconstruct that to get us some more bits. Okay, it's requesting bits. I'm not sure if we have... Nope, we have the ability to make asteroid collectors and crushers. Okay, so it does need shipping capacity. Because what we're looking, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Minimum 8 deliveries. Like that one, 9 deliveries. 9 deliveries to build what we got queued up there. I guess I suppose I can save a little bit of space by not building that bit for the moment. Okay, that'll short us down to 8 deliveries. Still 8 deliveries, so it's gonna take a while to build. Actually, I might be able to, if we get creative with minimizing necessary spots. Yeah, okay, that works. 7 deliveries. Still non-zero. Okay, and then we're going to start wanting to do stuff with the stuff that comes down. I suppose for the moment we can toss in. So you request that, you request that. Also request metallurgical. And that, and that. I actually request a whole 1,000. There's 1,000 available, take it. There isn't, don't. Well, actually, if there isn't, do, but don't take a lesser number, ideally. Then I need to figure out how I'm gonna handle inserting into the... These are the drills. These are the mining drills, not the foundries. Let me go find the foundries. Or it can be... Let's be even lazier. We know we have foundries on the planet, because I had some shipped in already. $40 in storage, 20 on the way. Actually, if they're here, bring them to me. Basically, bring me 100. It's more than we need, hopefully. And then we're waiting for various different things to ship. So we're not building here for reasons just to save on processing. And to be fair, this one's supposed to get upgraded to sort of do what we're doing on the first platform, but to be shipped out to a different planet. This one is functional and just rearming. We'll probably send it to go get more foundries. And we're making metallurgical science, so we can definitely do some metallurgical science in a bit. Okay, we've got a decent number now. Let's see. Do I want to run the foundries north-south and or the metal north-south here and the calcite west? That'd be one way to do it. We don't have the lava. We do have the calcite, so we can melt the copper or metal. I think for simplicity, we want the calcite to come through on a single belt, which will make the plumbing a little bit more complicated. Because the plumbing will want to be on the other sides. So and then to be fair, we don't need much calcite inserting, because it's going to take one calcite every 32 seconds, but it's going to take 50 metal every 32 seconds, or 50 ore every 32 seconds. So a lot of ore, very little calcite. And in fact, even that's not a lot of ore. That's like 2 ore a second. Well, that's like 2 normal inserters, I think. Okay. And we'll store some molten copper, just as a buffer. And I suppose actually right now, right now we've got the calcite on one belt, so we might as well just run the calcite belt, weave it through everything. I suppose for the moment we can go ahead and say, actually make you powerful way. Because of course it's powerful way. Make you go both ways. So yeah, inserting metal. I suspect the 2 inserters will probably be enough to insert enough copper into that to feed that copper wise. So sort of by default, this recipe takes 50 copper ore in, and every other cycle will produce an extra batch of melt. The smelting, the casting, you make 500. We do the math. 50 becomes 500. So normally copper ore would become 1 metal, right? So 1 to 1. So 50 becomes 500. 20 becomes 2. Okay, so we need a lot of foundries to produce the product. We don't necessarily need a lot to melt it, is what the math is doing there. So, yeah, okay, so this recipe will run, or this recipe here will run 10 times for every time this recipe runs. Now, every other time this recipe runs, you basically get 2 runs of it, which is the same with this one, but in product, right? So, you run 10 of these recipes for one of those, so we actually want... So if we say this makes every 64 seconds, this makes 1,500. 1,500 divided by 20 means... I just played Factorio 3 earlier today and pulled the calculator out, and we're pulling the calculator out again for Factorio. So 1,500 divided by 20 means we need 75 furnaces to make all of the melt into plate every 64 seconds. Oh, and the math gets even more complicated if we add in copper cables, which we probably will. So I suppose for the moment we are waiting for all our launches up here. We have 4 more launches required to get this working. And to be fair, once that's working, that will probably be under... Well, it'll be overkill for our initial requirements. Because right now we have 2 foundries running. Doing the melting. So this is going to churn out just over 1 calcite a second. This requires 1/16th of a calcite a second, so we're not in Danger Town yet with that. I might take a moment between parts to double check how much the miners are expected to mine, so we can figure out how many foundries we need going. But then the next thing to do is to figure out how I want to plumb the copper in to replace the foundry down here, or the, well, furnace stack. Replace the furnace stack with basically a couple foundries to do the same thing. So, to fill up a belt, we need 15 a second. Now, that makes 3.2... No, okay, that makes 2 a second, so... Or 2 per recipe. That recipe takes 3.2 seconds to do. So that would be 24. So it's 24 foundries before we count for the 50% productivity. And 50% productivity is basically divided by a 1.5 in this case. So we need like 16 foundries. 16 foundries making plates will replace that entire place doing 24. Okay. So that is a lot. It's actually surprisingly big. Oh, I suppose in this case we could... Yeah, we can just about fit it in there. Be a little tight, but we should be able to fit it in there. Okay. So if that's the case, let's find where this splits off from the copper line and cut off the supply so it starts to dwindle. And then we'll use the route that we got here vaguely to run the pipe. Okay, so for the moment, let's go and queue. We'll have to fix this plumbing at some point. We'll run pipe along here. Just very casually tell the bots, get rid of all the trees. And then that will run down that route. Okay. Okay, we're mostly caught up at that point. One up from there. Okay. Yeah, we are still waiting for stuff to get shipped to space, so hopefully this doesn't completely undermine that process. Remember how we had the base plumbed? It shouldn't. What it shouldn't and it won't are two very different statements sometimes. Yeah, so we got it nice and split over there. It'll be... Actually, if anything, we need to split a line off to come do this other side, but... This side apparently is not depleting super fast, so we're not in a rush. We're not in a rush. And this whole bit can get pretty much yoinked. And then I just have to hope there's enough redundancy that it can go out and around. It probably can. Okay, so we're gonna hope that we can somehow shove 16 of these in here. Seven. So that'll bring this up to 14. We need 16. Okay, I can make that work. It's not ideal, but we can make it work. Okay. And then the solution for this bit is, instead of it running around that way, actually, how do I want to fix? Actually, yeah, we do. You. Like so. Oops. I don't quite have the space on the right side. Yeah. Don't quite have the space on the right side right now. We got the space on the left side, but we don't got it on the right side. The easy solution is, at some point, we need to tear up the steel furnace too, so the iron furnace as well. Yeah, the steel furnace as well. And it's backed up right now, so I can probably cut it off and it would work fine. Yeah. We can get that to work. It's not going to be too bad. Anyway, this is making 2 over 3.2 seconds. So I'm probably overkilling by putting 2 inserters on each. Yeah, we'll go full big one on here. Metal one on here. And then you cross the middle, and then we just run the pipe down the middle. Like so. Okay, I'm gonna just potentially suffer the consequences. We're gonna cut out half of the steel production here. Any luck with the calcite? Looks like not yet. We're just awaiting the crushers to go up. do we have... We're waiting on launch, or we're waiting on load? Waiting on launch. And then this should fire up, and we should know if it works. And honestly, it's probably overkill, right? So this is... The two of these should support 20... Well, actually, should support 30 molten furnaces, or furnaces, foundries based off of them, right? Because each one, before accounting for productivity, supports 10, so it would be 20, and we're going to do... We've put a productivity, it's up to 30. So not quite enough to run 2 stacks like that. It would be exactly 2 short of 2 stacks, but plenty to run that. Okay, that should basically completely replace all that copper for that portion of the base. While at the same time... Oh, and... No, yeah, that should completely replace the copper for that entire portion of the base. Well, in theory, making the copper go farther as well. Now, we probably want to do the same for iron. At this point, iron's only coming in via train, so we'll have to start replacing off of the train sections. Do I want to clear more space? Probably for that, because this is going to take up some decent amount of space. So what I can do is I can do a cut place. So we're going to want those somewhere. I just don't want them there right now. So for example, we can say, hey, move these down there. Technically, that's not exactly what the bots are going to do, because the bots are going to disassemble it all and then reassemble it all, but... And they might not put the exact same parts back, they'll just take parts from somewhere and put them someplace else. Move that in half as well. Oops. I meant... Undo, please. I meant cut, not delete. Though it would do about the same thing. Okay, so in theory we just cleared a bunch of space. Actually, let's do one more. Cut and replace. Yeah, cut and replace. From there. And then obviously we'll replace these iron and... Well, actually in this case... Well, some of it is iron. The iron and steel stacks here. And that'll let us clear up some space and just push everything left, rightward? Rightward. And it is. So we've got calcite coming in. We got metal melting. Okay, we might not have a lot of calcite coming in because apparently... Let's go check up on the platform, see what went wrong. Something go... Yeah, something went wrong. Something went wrong. And it's fixed. Now we just need more of the correct rock type. Do I have... No, I don't. Asking myself the question of, do I have the one that turns a rock type into a different type of rock type? The answer is no. So it's now running, we're just waiting for the right rocks to come across. Which I suppose in stationary space like this is not the fastest necessarily. Just get a few more rocks moving. That should help. How's the power looking? Still plenty. And we got more calcite coming down to the planet. So we're waiting on the molten copper because I, of course, put the inserters not at the bottom of the belt. That would actually just be an easy thing to fix. We can just move the inserters. Though that would only be temporary fix, at some point we'll move the foundries down a little bit. So we are relying on some supply of rocks. So that gets them running. At least until the calcite runs out, which makes us some molten copper. And the molten copper gets these running. Should be enough. Oh, we don't have enough insertion. I maybe underestimated how much the insertion needs to be. Oh, and upgrade them to fast inserters, please, bots. Granted, that'll make us go to the calcite, because we apparently don't have the calcite supply yet. We got the calcite flowing enough for a couple test samples for making sure it works. We're definitely going to have to increase the grabbing rate on our ship up here. Originally, I was thinking, it's going to be the crushers that are going to be the issue. It's like, no, we're not generating enough ice asteroids. Which is probably a fairly easy thing to fix. Yeah, at this point we need more launch capacity, because we're asking for things to be put on a platform we don't have. ready. Right. Please load the belt. Yeah. Okay, looking at the time, I think this is where I'm going to go ahead and put in the part break. So I hope you've all been enjoying it. I've just noticed a problem that we'll fix before the part break, which is I forgot that we yanked the power poles from this section as well. Not that it's going to make a difference. That's probably the next thing we're going to change. So I hope you've all been enjoying it. If you're watching on YouTube, there will be another part up tomorrow, because I'm going to try to record more parts tonight. If you're watching on Twitch, feel free to hang around. I'm going to come right back to improving this after a short break, where I get up and take a little bit of a stretch. It looks like this is a tea break. I'm going to go grab another cup of tea. So until the next part, wish you all the best of luck and a good time. Catch you all in the next part, and bye for now.